Christmas, everybody. Welcome to a bonus episode of the Backlot 605 podcast. I am one of your hosts. I'm Case Kelderman. Join with me, as always, are my co-hosts Brian Mensing and Sam Lenz.
That's us.
What's up?
Sam is very happy today.
What did you put in your vape pen today? Jeez.
I'm
He
just
put
drinking
in
tea, so I'm highly caffeinated.
a little holiday cheer inside of his tea today, as it is Christmas Day for this bonus episode that we're dropping onto our feeds. So Merry Christmas to everyone. Hope you're having a very, very happy holidays. We thought you could either listen to this when you're sick of listening to the family talk about whatever families talk about. Politics, government, movies. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you want to hear us talk about some movies as you take a little break from them or on your drive home from seeing the in-laws, that's why we decided to drop this bonus episode here today as we're talking the 1-year anniversary of the reopening of the historic Sioux Falls State Theatre, the downtown reparatory screening and art house cinema that is in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, the hometown of all three of us here, that just reopened last December. So we're right around that 1-year anniversary of the State Theater opening on December 11th, 2020, during a pandemic. Who would have thought as theaters were closing, ours, well, downtown Sioux Falls would be opening. So that's kind of one of the coolest things about the State Theater, is that through everything that was going on in the world, we kind of had light a little bit at the end of the tunnel, at least for the year of 2020, of the State Theater opened at the end of the year.
You know what's hilarious about the opening too? That week leading up to it, like that Monday, I started getting sick. And it was like a head cold. And I thought for sure I had COVID. And I was pissed because I'm like, there is no way I'm missing the opening of the State Theater. This is not happening to me. And I didn't have COVID, but I was still like just not feeling well by like, I don't know. Did they open on a Thursday? So it was like Wednesday night before they opened or something. And I was like laying in bed at like 6:00 in the evening, Wednesday before they opened. And I was like, you are going to wake up tomorrow and you are going to feel good, okay? You are going to feel better. You are going to be better. You are going to have fun at the State. And I woke up and I was fine. And I was like, yes.
Were you like Dennis from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yes. I was just like, gone. Sickness be gone.
And I feel better.
And I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, but I didn't order popcorn the first night of the State at all or anything. Cause like, I just had my mask on so tight. Cause I was like, God, just in case, I feel fine. I don't have, like, it was negative, but like, like, I was so nervous.
So the first thing you said here, Casey, is that you know, this is our hometown theater, you know, the one that's been here, just the history that this theater has. Mm-hmm. And the first thing I thought was, you guys are transplants. You guys are not originally from here, but this is where you call home now, correct? You guys are homegrown Iowa boys. I was born in that building that used to be called Sioux Valley. They call Sanford now. That's where I was born. I am from here, but unfortunately, I left the State. I came back the summer after the State closed when I was 11. So to live in this city for 30 years of not being able to go to the historic State Theater, and to finally have that opportunity of like, we're finally open, you know, it's that part of my personal history of going, this is, you know, because, you know, for literally decades, you know, all of us would be like, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. It's just going to be a landmark at some point. It's never going to happen. The fact that we finally got in 2020, you know, 30 years later, we finally got that theater to be open. So many of us who have had that basically have lived with it essentially as just a landmark you walked by for so many years, to finally have the ability to go in and appreciate what the theater is.
I think that's one of the beauties of the Sioux Falls State Theater, especially in such a tight-knit community that is Sioux Falls. Everybody has their own unique story of the state. I mean, Dave Holly, go listen to any of his podcasts that talk about the State Theater. He'll tell his story pretty much every single time, and it's such a great story. And it's like all of us have this kind of unique story because, like, when I first moved up here too, it was like, yeah, the theater was closed. I was really getting into film, and I was like, okay, I'm moving to Sioux Falls. It's a bigger city. Obviously, we're going to get all the movies I wouldn't get in my small town Iowa theater. And I come here and I'm like, you guys literally get the same movies that we got in my small town Iowa theater. And it was like, why isn't there something else available? It was always the something else. And now that the State Theater is open, we have that something else. Because otherwise, you'd have to go to Omaha or Minneapolis, which are both 3.5, 4 hours away almost. So it's a hefty drive.
We don't have to go to Sioux City for something like the Lighthouse.
Yeah, we went. If that was the case 2 years ago, we would have gotten the Lighthouse at the State Theater. Which, by the way, Stephen and Allison at the State Theater, if you guys are listening, please play the Lighthouse at some point for a late night at State because that movie rules.
Because that's what we need at the State. We need tentacle porn.
Why not? We haven't had it yet, so they're trying to program anything and everything at the State. Sam is, I think, even more intrigued to finally watch the Lighthouse.
That's right. I forgot.
I'm not going to say anything incriminating. Podcast.
But yeah, I think that's one of the beauties of this theater is kind of the community that has really grown around it. I mean, from opening night, we had White Christmas because we opened in December, and what better way really to open up the theater than with a historic Christmas movie from like one of the golden eras of Hollywood. And having us at that point a sellout crowd, which was like what 150-ish people.
No, couldn't even be that because
that's right. It was
distance seating.
Yeah,
so right. It was only about 75, something around there.
If barely that, because every seat had a two seat bubble on both sides. So if you bought one ticket, you already basically took out 5 seats. So I'm thinking maybe 40, 45, 50 tops.
Derek, let us know.
It was sold out, but it was sold out with the distance seating.
The social distancing, which they had for a while, which rightfully so, especially like I said, we were opening during the pandemic. That was one of the restrictions that was put in place. And now we're at the point, we're at the full cap for what the State Theater is at this point. And yeah, I don't know. White Christmas. It was my first time watching the movie, period. And I was like,
me too.
It was on my list of, all right, I'm going to finally watch this Christmas movie I've never seen before. What better way to watch it for the first time than in the State Theater opening nights, like with people that are there for this theater and for this experience. And yeah, it's still one of my favorite moments of going back to the State Theater in the last year. Just that opening night audience of everybody just so amped and excited to finally watch a movie there. And it's it's incredible, especially first time sitting in those reclining seats. It's like, oh baby, yes, I'm gonna love this.
Yeah, I almost fell asleep in that first screening because it's so comfy and warm. Like we're coming in from the cold and it's like, oh, they have the heat on in here. Like, oh, there's a big puffy chair. Oh, it reclines. And then you've got Bing Crosby going, and I was just like drifting off.
Yep.
I sit in those seats and I sit there and I'm like, if only the franchises in town would have seats like that. But, of course they're not going to do that because they need to try to pack as many people into those seats as possible, that they're not going to give us those fancy seats like we have and whatnot. Yeah. So, that's one of the reasons why I do enjoy going, especially seeing some of these classic, movies in a classic, theater and whatnot, is because like you said, you feel like you're cozy at home, yet you're still getting this very, retro feel to the point where you're like, I'm comfortable, but my surroundings are just breathtaking.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when Brian, you and me and Blake went to go interview Stephen and Allison. This is what, maybe 2 months before they opened, maybe 3 months.
No, that was like
it was like August, in the summer.
It was in the summer, yeah. I mean, it was still like nice out. We were wearing just t-shirts.
And that was the first time all three of us got to sit in those recliners because they had just put them in for the first time. Was during that, which was awesome to be like, all right, we're gonna be able to watch a movie with this type of environment. This is perfect. This is awesome. Yeah, and it's kind of every time I go there, like we were saying with the multiplex theaters in Sioux Falls, it's like, yeah, if I'm going to choose which setting I want to see a movie in, it's the state because of everything involved, including those chairs, the historic atmosphere, the architecture in the building. Every time I go there, I still look around and see something like I've never seen before in there. Like it's, yeah, I don't know. It's like going to church. There's always something new you're going to see inside there. Like that, the State Theater is our church.
Well, and the staff and volunteers are much nicer than the, stoned 14-year-old kid behind the popcorn machine at Cinemark. I love you guys at Cinemark. They're great.
Mm-hmm.
But like sometimes it's so nice when you like recognize the faces and they're talking to you, and like you don't always get that at theater chains.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you walk into the State and you know the person behind the counter, you know the person taking tickets, you know the person ushering you to your seat, and it's just kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Or you walk in and say, I need a ticket for Jingle All the Way. Where do you want to sit? Just put me next to Derek. And they know exactly where that means. So
you're not wrong.
Which is an exact conversation I had a few days ago at the State. So
that's hilarious.
Just sit me next to Derek. I think one of my favorite screenings.
I'm surprised they haven't just like roped off that aisle for us, just in general, going, here's your tickets, now go sell them for us or buy them for yourself.
I mean, late night, that's the back row. I mean, that's the row for all of us hanging out there on the late night screenings for sure. Mm-hmm. But like first weekend too was also Cinema Paradiso. I don't know if either of you guys made it to.
Nope.
Yeah, Casey, you remember that's the one that I cracked my tooth on.
Oh, that's right.
I cracked my tooth halfway through that movie on a popcorn kernel, and I swallowed the part of my tooth. And so the whole rest of the movie, which is a beautiful movie, the whole rest of the movie, I'm literally tonguing this hole in the back of my mouth. And I'm like, oh no, what's going to happen? And 7 months and 8 dental procedures later, I'm all good.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
stop eating popcorn.
Take care of your teeth, kids.
Yeah.
Brush your teeth.
If I was gonna dream fan cast an opening to a theater, Cinema Paradiso is one of those movies I would throw in there as that's a great movie to reopen a theater, because it is all about the experience of going to the movies. And in that movie, spoilers for Cinema Paradiso, you see this child's home theater that he literally grew up in burn and is crumbled by the time he's an adult. So it's kind of a poetic movie to reopen a historic theater like that with. And yeah, it was very cool to see that they programmed that first week. And for me as a movie fan of all types of movies, seeing them program first weekend, we're going to play a foreign movie from 30 years plus years ago, was all right, they're going to go full, we're going to play anything and everything that people want to see on the screen. And that was kind of, for me, the first indication of that. And they haven't stopped since then. So it's been really great to see the different types of programming throughout the State Theater.
Yeah. That's one thing that I told Maria actually going into this next year. I really want to make it a point to not just see movies that I already love at the State. Because a lot of the screenings that I've gone to, in the first in the first year of it being open, have been movies that I love, that I've seen a lot of times. There's the outlier, Cinema Paradiso, or, I went to Bull Durham with you and Blake, which was a really fun screening. I'd never seen that before, and that was awesome. That was such a fun movie. And then the Alien double feature was the first time I'd seen Aliens. I'd seen Alien before, but those are really the only ones I can think of besides
some of those
movies that I went to without prior, having seen them prior. And so I want to fix that going forward.
But I think there's a little bit of a catch to that. And one thing I certainly would say is not necessarily miss, and just because you've seen, not aiming for the movies that you haven't seen before, but still going to those movies you have seen before, because I would certainly say that a majority of the stuff that I have seen at the State have clearly been movies that I have seen before. Like when we did the Aliens double feature, When I went to go see Who Framed Roger Rabbit, when I went to go see Goonies,
Yeah.
Die Hard, like all these movies, these are all movies that I've either grown up with, I've seen multiple times or whatnot. But there's something about an aged movie, a classic movie, even going as far back as like when they've done Metropolis or, White Christmas or anything like that, is watching these old classic movies in an old classic theater. With the only
Yeah.
the exception to the State Theater is their seating. Otherwise, it's not like going into the Cinemark or something like that, or even the West Mall. It's modern. Whereas, like being able to go see a movie from 1979 in a theater that is 100 plus years old has a different feel than if we were to go
Oh
see
yeah.
it at the Cinemark. So it's like, as much as I agree with you, like when we went to go see, like House and Teton
Oh
and all
God,
these,
yeah, that's one. Yeah.
all these weird, all the, like going to go see Lamb, and all these newer
Mhm.
releases and whatnot, is still knowing that the way that they are programming their films and whatnot is I'm going to be able to see those movies that maybe even as a kid, even in the age gap between me and you guys, is there's movies that I love and grew up with that even I never had a chance to see in the theater, and to get that opportunity to be able to see a movie in the theater that you know I may have
Yeah.
seen hundreds of times, but to be able to get that movie experience finally.
I think that's
Well,
one
and
of
I
the great
agree with
things.
that.
I was going to say that's one of the great things about their programming is you have such a variety of different movies. Like Batman '89, I saw here, and Rocky, and I'm like, I've seen those a million times, but it's kind of like that bucket list of I need to see those in a
Yeah.
theater. And
I mean,
Mhm.
I
what's
had
the best place to
previously
watch it?
seen, yeah, I'd previously seen The Shining and The Lost Boys on the big screen, and I still went when they got to the State Theater, right? But like you were talking about, like Titan and Lamb, and those are just movies that I didn't get out to, not because I didn't want to, but just because like I don't know, for some reason they didn't fall as high on my priorities list as seeing something like The Lost Boys. And I want to kind of balance that out a little bit. So I'm seeing like equally the amount of like those classics that we all love. But then like
Mhm.
it's cool that we have a theater that's actually playing like A24 movies in Sioux Falls.
Hmm.
We don't get that very often. I want to start making an effort to like getting out to those more, you know?
And that's one thing I do love about the fact that when they went into how are we going to program for the state, is the first thing they immediately said was, we know we're not going to compete with the multiplexes. We can't compete with them. We can't compete with them because like it's been said before, they're not going to put like the Avengers in there because of the
No.
stipulations from Disney, and how many weeks would it have to play before they could even play, that's all they would be able to do for 2 months.
Yeah.
That's not sustainable for the state. Not when you've got
No.
places like the Cinemark that has 9 out of their 14 screens playing Spider-Man, you
Yep.
know, that they're going to play that counter programming for the things that we never got before, like the A24 movies, because Teton and Lamb and Come On, that's coming out here. These are things that Cinemark doesn't give two flying shits about those, because those are not what's going to fill the seats for
Yeah.
you know a 300 person auditorium or something like that. But the state can do 150 of some of these movies.
Right.
I think a big part of what the state is doing so uniquely compared to any other theater really in this area, period. No matter if it is a single screen small town theater or if it is the multiplexes, is the late night at the States, because
Hmm.
that feels like a special
Yes.
environment where you go to those. I mean, I have some of my favorites. Like The Thing was the first one I went to, and I was like, yeah,
Mhm.
I love
That
this
was a
because
great late night screening.
it was because at that was the like I said, the first one I went to, but at one point the Thing title comes up and some dude just yells, "Yeah, The Thing!" like just really loud, and I'm like, "Yeah, this is exactly what I want from like these late night showings." And I mean, they
Hmm.
Yeah.
haven't stopped since doing, Krampus was
No.
their first one, which is like the second weekend the theater was open. Like they did
Yeah. And
Krampus,
as
like
soon as they announced it, I bought my ticket. I was like, yeah, I got to see this. And that was a fun one. Because, like, that, much like The Thing, it's a winter horror movie. And so like you're walking in from like, to me, Christmas time at the state is the best time at the state. And probably because like they opened around Christmas time. A lot of those early memories of the state are around Christmas time, but there's just nothing like a 10 o'clock screening of a winter set horror movie where you're coming in from the cold into this cozy theater, and then you watch something bone chilling, and then you walk outside and you're freezing again. And I just like, my favorite late nights have been Krampus, have been The Thing, and recently I'd put Black Christmas on that. You know? Like, there's something magical about the state in like the December era.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say a big thing of The Thing is like Blake brings this up all the time of like, even before the state opening, he's like, imagine watching The Thing and then you get outside and it's like negative 20 degrees outside and you're entering into the cold. Well, guess what happens when they play The Thing at the Sioux Falls State Theater? It ends up being like well below freezing temperatures outside, and
we almost didn't go because we didn't know if the car would start.
Yeah, it was one of those things of like, you're gonna go into the cold of this movie, you're gonna warm up, watch this chilly movie, and you're gonna go right back into the cold.
So basically, you're blaming the state for the weather that day. Got it. I'm just kidding.
Yes, they purposely made it that cold, and I applaud them for it.
Same here. I think they made the right choice that night. My
now putting a blizzard on dial code Santa Claus night might have been too far, Steven. So rain it back next time, because I didn't even make it out to that.
I was gonna say keep the cold, rain back the snow.
No, even that day. No, that's the day it was like freaking raining first on top of it, so there was ice underneath that snow.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he turned on the dial. He forgot to stop at like 8 and went to like 15.
Some other late nights that just stand out to me. House was incredible to watch. The Fly was such a great.
The Fly was great.
Oh, The Fly was fun. Yeah. That's
Black
such
Christmas,
a gooey, nasty movie.
Black Christmas recently, that was a ton of fun to watch. Black Christmas, Friday the 13th, that was like the first
Friday
slasher we got to see.
Was
so
really good, because like it was the audience that made that such a special night, because there were people that hadn't seen it. There were people who had, that were like so amped whenever their favorite moments happened on screen. I mean, like, if I were to pick a late night screening to retroactively invite someone to show them like, this is what late night at the state is, it would probably be the Friday the 13th one. Because to me, it was just like the quintessential like atmosphere that you want in one of those late night screenings. Oh man, that one was so much fun.
For the sake of the atmosphere and the people that are going to the movies at the state and whatnot, I think are the people that we talk about, like when we talk about going to the multiplex, going to go see, like, say, Spider-Man, for example. You're afraid of going to go see into a movie that's a mainstream movie and whatnot, because you're going to get the douchebag sitting behind you that's causing a bunch of problems and whatnot. Whereas a majority of the content that is being seen at the state, whether it be nostalgia based, for the sake of like the older style movies, wherever the case is, that are going to be the ones that are going to, like, say, the Friday the 13th, that are going to yell at the screen or scream. But that's that instance where you're like, you're okay with it because, number one, A, you've seen it before, but B, you're in that same mindset of the good time that you're having in an environment with a bunch of people that are there for that movie. They're not there just to fill 2 hours of their time.
Yeah.
Well, and at least with the, I was gonna say, at least with the new movies that are coming out, they are those small, like the A24s, the independent movies and whatnot, where again, those are those movies where the douchebag that's gonna kick the back of your chair isn't gonna go see Teton, isn't gonna go see Lamb. So we still we're getting those movies where the movie enthusiasts, the people who actually appreciate the content that are being delivered, is actually the ones that are going to go see those movies.
Yeah. Well, and the state cares about its audience, like they want to make sure that that a good time is had by all. And yeah, you just, between the location and like the price of tickets, because it's not much, but a little spendier than the multiplexes.
It's
But
reasonable.
I mean, it's
pretty
reasonable.
pretty damn close to Cinemark.
It's really close. But
Cinemark's just went up too, by the way.
well, then maybe they're about the same at this point because I think it was only about $1 or $2 more, and not if you were a member though. If you're a member, it's pretty. But yeah, I feel like people aren't just gonna wander into the state to like you said, waste 2 hours of time, like they do at Cinemark, like they do at West Mall, and that's just I don't know. That's why like. When I go to movies now, I like to go to movies at the State. I don't go to the theater very often. When I do, it's usually the State. And when I go to Cinemark, typically I always pick the screening where someone has a baby or something. So
I was going to ask. I'm going to get us back to late night at the State. What was your guys' favorite late night at the State so far?
Oh my god,
all of
favorite?
them.
Favorite.
I partially will go, and just for the sake that if it was more of a normal, not your traditional late night, is when we went to go see The Room, because that was more of the social interaction with the audience and all that, and then with also having Greg there as well. I don't want to necessarily say it's for the sake of all the late nights and whatnot, but I think it was a good late night to have.
That's my favorite State Theater experience, period. Like, is The Room. I'm gonna wait for Sam to come back to talk about that one, just because I know he wants to talk about it too. My favorite, though, before we'll go back to The Room in just a second. My favorite was of like the late nights. The Warriors was easily my favorite of watching that, just because the sound was just turned up so loud, and as soon as you get the opening credits, I was like, yeah, I absolutely love this. Please play this every single year, because The Warriors is a perfect late night movie, and that still is. If I could go back to any screening, even The Room, like The Warriors is the one I want to go back to. Like, that's the one I want to be in, that environment, watching that movie. Everything about it, just, I don't know, played so perfectly for a late night.
Oh man, due to technical issues, I did not hear Brian's. I didn't get to the Warriors one because I was out of town, and I'm bummed about that.
It was so great, just because, well, young James Remar. No, I was commenting. I don't necessarily know if it was necessarily my favorite, because I mean, honestly, the late nights, it's a lot of that social interaction, and all of us coming together for those late nights and whatnot. So I don't know if I really have a top one, but I was saying, just before you fell out of there, because you do things like that, was when we got to see The Room, because that was more of the audience participation with Greg being there, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I did like that one. I'd say my favorite late night is, God, it's still probably the first. You guys, I have a real soft spot for Krampus, and seeing it on the big screen, especially, like, I just love that movie. And the fact that the State chose it for their first late night, A, shocks the hell out of me, and B, is like the best thing ever, because I freaked when they announced that, and I bought my tickets like right away.
How do you not own that movie?
Oh, I do own that movie.
How have you not borrowed it to me?
You've never seen it?
No.
Oh my God. Well, we have to set up I'll swap you my Krampus Blu-ray for those VCRs. I actually need it soon, because it's the only way I can watch Blowout without spending another $4.
Yeah, the Room screening, though, like, it's my favorite screening that they've done, period, of anything, just because of the environment that was in the overall spectacle. It felt like the biggest event. I think anyone that has been to the theater would consider that the Room screening is the biggest event that the State has put on so far, and it was so much fun. I mean, having Greg Sestero there to chat before the movie, who's such a cool dude, and signing autographs for people, taking pictures with fans and stuff, and doing a little Q&A with our homeboy Andy before the show was awesome. And then the crowd was just super hot for it too. It felt it felt like we were all at this big, it felt like a wrestling event. Like, I know I compare things to wrestling a lot.
You do that a lot.
But this one especially felt like that. We were yelling at the screen, chanting things together. Like, it was just this big fun event that we could all go to, and just yelling things about this rather terrible movie. But it was about the communal experience of all watching it and understanding this movie together.
Yeah, I mean, we had the backlot, back row, and everything, but we also had a lot of like friends of the show at that screening, and it was cool getting to see everybody and talk to everybody, and all of us like looking over at Greg Sestero's booth and being like, "Oh my God, it's Greg Sestero!" And
It's
like,
Mark.
it's
Hi,
Mark.
Mark.
Should we say "Oh hi, Mark," or do you think he gets that too much? And
He
that
probably
was
gets
like
that a
all we were.
lot.
Yeah.
I was debating about asking him about his sex life to introduce myself, but
How's your
Again,
sex
probably not
life?
the first time he's been asked that question.
probably not. I just thanked him for being there. I was like, I'm just going to be a pleasant person and not be one of those fanboys.
Yeah.
Speaking of fanboys, segue.
Ooh,
Boom.
yes.
Yeah. I don't know.
That was a good segue.
That was a good segue. I'm going to climb on it like Paul Blart. Let's do it. 13 Fanboy. We were one of very select theaters to get this movie in the theater
Cool.
at the States. And it was so cool to kind of have this culmination for our little movie group, especially because we've heard about this movie kind of for years now, a good at least a year and a half, 2 years, about 13 Fanboy with Dominic Winnicke getting to AD on that movie and be a big part of it. And seeing it play in the Sioux Falls State Theatre was awesome. And it was kind of nice that we got previously had the OG Friday the 13th as a late night. And then a few months later, we get 13 Fanboy. And it was kind of this nice connection through line between the two screenings. And I mean, it wasn't the biggest screening. It's a very small indie movie, very small fan base for it, but it was awesome to have a bunch of people we knew there and having that movie play. And yeah, just kind of being part of a little special moment for that movie's history was kind of cool.
Oh, definitely. That's one of those ones that I really wish I would have had the opportunity to go see if scheduling would have allowed me for it.
Yeah, it was a really fun screening. I mean, the movie itself is just a load of fun, especially if you're a slasher fan. And I mean, the crowd was just really into it. It was cool to see a local filmmaker get to see his hard work paid off. Like it was just, yeah, that was such a good, like, it's a good example of the types of cool things we can do with the State Theater by celebrating like something that's not necessarily a South Dakota film, but a film that has South Dakota roots. And I think that's really, I just think that's special. And I'm glad that they were able to do that.
Definitely. I would definitely agree there.
I was going to say, that's one of my favorite things that they've done so far this year is kind of highlighting and showcasing local films on their screening, having, Q&As and stuff. Like they played I Really Get Into It, which is such a great documentary. And they did a Q&A for that. And Tater Tot and Patton. So I think all three of us were at that one. Tater Tot and Patton with Andrew Keitlinger there as well, doing a Q&A with Andy. That was very cool and such a great experience. It was much better than watching it at the Washington Pavilion. Let's just say that.
At the Cinedome.
The Cinedome. The State Theater is a much better place to watch that movie than at the Cinedome. The only other Q&A that I was at was, if I'm not mistaken, was Our Towns, which I guess we had like the theatrical premiere of that movie, I think was at the State, if I'm not mistaken. So that's kind of cool that we also had something like that there too.
I think that only came in basically because they had the South Dakota connection, but otherwise I don't think it had a theatrical release like normally.
Yeah.
Even better, we got the theatrical premiere in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Like that's really cool.
If anybody has watched it, anyway.
I'm not saying anything about the movie. Like I have my thoughts on the movie. The overall experience was great. The movie, that's a conversation for a different topic. But the overall experience and having the possibilities that go along with that is very, very cool that we can have those.
Well, because that was like a big HBO Max thing, wasn't it too? Yeah. So I mean, that's huge. That's a huge get for the State, and I think that's awesome.
Do you guys have any other big event? I have like two other movies to throw out here for some of my favorite screenings. Do you guys have anything else that's like sticks out for favorite movies that you've seen or experiences or anything?
Well, I mean, the Midsommar late night was fun. I don't know if like I consider Midsommar a late night movie just because it's so long. It starts at 10,
it's too long. It needs to start we need to start it at 4 a.m. So when we wake up, it's bright and sunny out.
Yeah.
Ooh,
late night.
But seeing the movie on the big screen for the first time since, well, actually just seeing the movie again for the first time since I'd seen it like opening day in theaters was just really cool. I also really I'm glad that they played the Lost Boys in their first year. I had seen that one at the Brookings Theater the summer prior, but like I'm not going to miss a chance to see the Lost Boys on any big screen. I almost went to all of the screenings to that one. I didn't. But
I remember when they first announced the Lost Boys. Oh my god. If I could have heard you squeal through the text messages of our chat.
Yeah.
When we found out about it.
I almost cracked the screen above the exclamation point on my keyboard.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that, I was like, I feel very happy for Sam that they're.
Yeah, I even showed up wearing a dope ass blazer and like, yeah, I looked like Kevin Smith, but
yes, you are our resident Kevin Smith. I'm just saying, you are our short blazer wearing vegan with the Converse tennis shoes.
Yeah.
I'm like you're even pulling off a Silent Bob look like right now too.
I know. I need to be able to grow an actual goatee, but like, yeah, if I could get something going here, it would definitely be
What do you have any like wants and wishes to show up?
Right before that, I want one more. I have to throw out one more. Well, two more because they kind of go together. Seeing and for me, this is going to be a tradition. Hopefully, I can continue at the States because I'm already messing up on one of my traditions I wanted to start because they have 3 Tim Burton movies and I only saw one of them, so I'm already behind on catching up on Tim Burton movies at the State. But I want to see every Frankenstein movie at the State, and so far, so good. Seeing Bride of Frankenstein,
get to Young Frankenstein, and it kills me.
And Young Frankenstein.
That's literally one of my favorite movies of all time. I hope they play it again in the next couple of years.
I hope so too, because it's so much fun, and the audience for that, that's an audience-pleasing movie, and the audience was so into it. So I hope they do play Young Frankenstein again. But like seeing those like in the first and second row for both of those, I was like, yeah, this is how I want to watch every black and white movie from now on in the States is like that. And so, yeah, hopefully next year they play OG Frankenstein, Karloff, and maybe Son of Frankenstein. That would be very cool too.
I've got a group of screenings that I wanted to bring up too.
Yes.
I love that they did a Wes Anderson series. Wes Anderson is one of my favorite working filmmakers. And I got to check off 4 different movies that I hadn't seen on the big screen the month that they did their Wes Anderson series. And I just thought that was so cool. I love the director's series. I wasn't able to make it to any of the Hitchcock ones, which really bummed me out. But like, I hope they continue doing the director series because like they're so cool. It's such a cool idea and I love it. And especially if it's like another director that I'm super into, like I'll be going to the State every week, or at least trying to. But yeah, I love the director series that they do. I thought we should at least bring that up once. And yeah.
I was going to throw those out in like a few of like the big ones I missed that I'm like, I hope they play those again. Yes. Do more director series. I'm sad I missed both of those, but like they played Wizard of Oz, which is one of my favorite movies ever. I didn't get to see.
They'll play that one again. That's such a classic that they'll play that one again.
Sing Street was one I didn't make it to, and it's just one of my favorite modern movies. I love that movie so much.
It was on my top of the 2010s decade list.
Some big ones like Jurassic Park and The Goonies I didn't get to watch. So Brian, I know you watched The Goonies. Jealous.
Goonies is so amazing. But again, that's one of those
Labyrinth was another one.
Labyrinth is one of the ones that I missed that I regret not being able to go see because, like, if you look at like Goonies, for example, I grew up on Goonies, but based on my age of when that movie came out, I was 7 years old. I wasn't sitting in a movie theater long enough to be able to, like 7-year-olds don't sit in a movie for that long. That's when you watch that shit at home. So to be able to get that classic movie, like, oh, I can finally sit down and appreciate it. My childhood on that screen.
I was gonna say that's the same thing with the Goonies. Like I grew up with that movie, and I'm like, I don't know how I missed watching that. And then another one is my biggest miss because I had something else, I guess, going on that weekend was Wayne's World, my favorite movie of all time. playing at the State.
What was going on that weekend?
Did you end up missing it?
I absolutely missed that. That was on my wedding weekend.
No. I remember what weekend it was, but I also remember you're saying, come hell or high water, you were going to get to that Sunday showing.
Yeah, that didn't happen. No.
Because I do remember when that came out, when Derek let us know, when that all came about, and when I'm like, I was waiting for Casey's typing. Casey's gonna be pissed.
Still waiting for the moment that they play Wayne's World 1 and 2 double feature, and I can finally watch it then. It's also kind of poetic, and I find great charm in that it was the same weekend as my wedding weekend, so I still have that story with not seeing Wayne's World at the States.
That is true. That is true. Now you have a good story to play along with it.
I don't know. Yeah, Brian, what you were saying about ones we want to see. I
would even go in like a two-part, because it's something that basically Sam brought up, was the fact of like the Hitchcock and the Wes Anderson and whatnot is, what kind of, director series or film series would you want to see outside of even just like, because originally I was going to be like, okay, well, what are some, fan favorites or ones that you would love to see the State bring back, but I think a better question, honestly, thanks to Sam's bringing it up, is, is there a certain series of movies? Is there certain, like Paul Thomas Anderson, Spielberg, Lucas, any of these, like, like I would go to a Tarantino series in a heartbeat, that sort of thing.
You know what series I want?
What?
I want a Marilyn Monroe series, because she is classic Hollywood movie star, and I missed Some Like It Hot when it played, and that's like literally one of my favorite comedies. I love it so much. I was out of town the weekend they played it, and so if they did a Marilyn Monroe series, they'd have to play Some Like It Hot again, and I would go then.
Maybe do like a Marlon Brando, so you can get a Streetcar Named Desire and Apocalypse Now in the same series.
Ooh, yeah. I like that. They could do actor series, like classic actor series, and I think they'd go over just as well as like a director series.
I want a Stallone or Schwarzenegger series. I think would be perfect because we've only touched the cusp of both of them. I think Stallone has only had Rocky, and Schwarzenegger
just got Jingle All the Way.
Rightfully so.
And I still would love to see Last Action Hero at the State, because I think just the fact that it's the old-timey theater in the movie, I think just plays well into being in an old-timey theater while watching Last Action Hero.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have two series I'm going to throw out and a director for this. My two series, first, I want to see the Evil Dead trilogy at the State. I think that would be awesome, seeing Evil Dead 1, 2, and Army of Darkness. Perfect for October, like a triple feature. Or, I don't know. I don't know how they would
give me an hour between each movie so I can stretch my legs, because I can't even sit through two. I just can't.
Well, Sam, I'm going to make you sit through this. I want to see all 3 Lord of the Rings movies. I think that would be so much fun. Probably do one each weekend, I think, is probably the best way to go about.
Well,
I'm glad you clarified that, because that doesn't sound fun to me.
You don't want to do a triple feature in one day of the extended editions?
I have done that. It's miserable. Just the theatrical versions are fine. And then last, I would love to see a Dario Argento series so we can get some Italian cinema in the States. I think that would be so much fun to do an Argento series of movies. So that's my big ones I want to throw out there.
Well, I would ask you this question: what would be a big one that I would go see in a heartbeat that you guys could probably name off right off the top of your head?
Back to the Future, baby.
I'd be right there with you, Brian. I hope they play it soon. I love that movie.
That's got to be one of the biggest pop culture movies that they haven't done yet so far, obviously, besides like Star Wars. So it's coming. I'm sure it's coming.
It's got to be. I would love to see. I mean, hell, I'd love to see all of them, but especially that first one. Mm-hmm. I love that, like, as the years progressed, and granted, Krampus is a pretty out there, like, late night choice for their very first late night out. Mm-hmm. But they've played a lot of classics. Oh my God, I never even brought up the Tremors screening. Never mind. That's my favorite late night. Oh my God, Tremors was just incredible. That movie. But like those are movies that you kind of expect to be played at late night, you know? I would love, especially with them doing like House and with them doing Dial Code Santa Claus, which I'm so bummed I missed because of the blizzard. I really, really want to see them dive into some weird ass like late nights. Like I keep saying it, and I know, Steven, I'm not even kidding when I say like Frankenhooker, man. We need Frankenhooker late night at the State. It would kill. It would kill. I swear to God, if we could just get butts in the seats, we would have 150 new Frankenhooker fans. There's no way you watch that movie and you don't like it. There's no way.
Sam, I don't think that'll be the first Frank Henenlotter movie we're getting at this.
I don't either. But even something else Frank Henenlotter would be cool.
Yeah. I think we're a ways off from Basket Case and Brain Damage playing at the State. But Steven and Allison, please surprise us with some Henenlotter next year.
I don't know. Like, I wouldn't have thought to play like a 70s Japanese horror comedy that makes no logical sense either. You know, like, I mean, and that
like
movie
Teton
was
makes
tremendous.
sense. Like Teton makes sense.
Right. Well, and the audience loved it. And that was one of the more packed late nights that I saw in October, actually. So
I don't think our audience knew what to think of House.
No, I don't think so either. But
I'm not even sure I still even know what to think of House. You know, I think of House. I think of House the same way I think of The Lighthouse and whatnot. You know, and it's those kind of things that I'm completely okay with, and it's why I'm glad we have a movie theater like the State to play movies like this. Is like, I remember when we left The Lighthouse, Casey. I immediately thought of like when I went to like Cirque du Soleil in Vegas and whatnot. It's like a piece of art. You might not necessarily understand it, but you still at the end of the day realize you had a beautiful piece of art that means something to somebody and whatnot. You may not get it, but you still respect it and you're glad it exists.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Lighthouse rules.
But I mean, even like say Teton. I remember we got done and I was like, I don't have words, but
I still need to watch that.
I do too. I want to watch the car gear porn.
Yes, please. Make it so. One more I want to throw out. They touched on it this year. I want them to completely go full board on it. Get some more Monty Python movies. We got Jabberwocky. Let's get Holy Grail and Life of Brian.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Specifically Holy Grail. Like, I would love to see Holy Grail at the State. That would be amazing.
Maybe Easter time we get Life of Brian, huh? Yeah.
Me? No, I'm just kidding.
So, do you guys have any other ones you want to throw out there?
I want to see Chopping Mall and Night of the Comet. I know, like, broken record. I'm aware. Everybody listening to this
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yes.
Oh, like, absolutely.
All of the cheesy B movies of the 80s. Night of the Creeps. You know, like, oh, God, Monster Squad. Wait, did they play Monster Squad or did I just dream that? Okay, play Monster Squad. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. There's just so many. I have a list of like 80 movies on Letterboxd that I want the State to play, and I know Steven has looked at it all. And
he's like,
he gives me that wry Steven smile every time I bring it up to him. And I'm like, I don't know what that smile means, but I think it means that you're going to play some stuff I like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing is if this is year one, what are they going to play in year two? I think that's a big, like, what's going to happen next? And I
don't think we're that far off from like a Chopping Mall. I really don't. With Dial Code Santa Claus, like, I mean, House, I'm sorry, like, these movies are not any more well known than Chopping Mall, right? Like,
yeah, but at that point you're also getting the foreign film aspect of it that they're really pushing too, which I totally understand and agree with, because again, the foreign films are the things that we're not going to get in Sioux Falls unless the State plays them. So
yeah, that's fair. That is fair.
I would take that as, you know, the same reason why we were able to get Lamb is because, you know, A, it's A24, but B, it's a foreign film that Cinemark would not have played. Cinemark would never play Teton. They're not going to play things like House and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's giving us those foreign films that, most people will be like, I don't watch foreign films, because you never have the access to said foreign films.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. I hope they just continue the trend. Continue the trend. It's on a nice. I mean, I don't even want to say upward, because I mean they started their first 2 weeks with doing a foreign film, Cinema Paradiso, and then did Krampus Late Night. Like,
yeah,
keep going. This is exactly what movie fans in Sioux Falls want, and we want more of it, and we'll be out there to watch all of it. So, yeah. This has been, I guess, the year one retrospective of the Sioux Falls State Theater. Let's.
If you can't tell, we're all fans.
Yeah, we like it. We go there sometimes. Drop a comment below on any platform you're listening to this, or drop us a mention on social media. What's the one movie, if you only could have one movie to watch at the State Theater? What's that one movie? Even if they
and
played
why
it,
is it Shopping Mall?
Why?
Sam,
because it's
definitely
great.
not Shopping. It's not Shopping Mall.
I mean, if they played Shopping Mall late night at the State, we'd be out of there by 11:30, and that's okay by me.
Yeah, I'd miss my own funeral to go to Shopping Mall.
Is that a big thing to miss your own funeral? I don't know. Yeah, so let's get to our plugs here, our tags at the end of the show. You can subscribe to us on Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, Amazon Music, and on YouTube. We're doing a series right now on Brian De Palma movies, and then next month we're kicking off a brand new year with a brand new series. That is not going to be mentioned yet. You'll have to listen to our Blowout episode to find that out. Perfect.
Okay.
That
was my tire blowing out noise.
That was perfect. De Palma probably used that in the movie. Brian, where can they find us on social media?
I don't know what to do with you two some days. On the social media, check us out on the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, and the Letterboxd HQ. All at Backlot 605. That's on Facebook. You can also check us out at the South Dakota Film Community Group, film enthusiasts, filmmakers, film lovers, just people who love talking about movies. Definitely check us out and join the conversation. What else can they check us out, Sam?
They can check us out on patreon.com/backlot605, where we have 4 bonus episodes every month regarding new releases and or cult classics. We have done a couple of Christmas movies for this month with Home Sweet Home Alone on Disney Plus, boo, and How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the 1966 animated classic, yay! And we also just recorded and will be dropping. Well, it'll already be out. Oh, it's out. It's out. We've already recorded and dropped a total spoiler discussion of Spider-Man No Way Home, which, as you know, is probably very contentious for a few of us. What did we think about it? I don't know. Go to Patreon to find out. And we're going to end the month with The Matrix Resurrections. Good old Keanu Reeves sending us home in the year 2021.
The best way we can, going out with Keanu.
Isn't he our Patreon tiers too?
Yep.
Yes, he definitely is our Patreon tiers. So
yeah, there we go. So
isn't Neo our $5 level?
Neo
it is the chosen one, right?
Your Keanu has fully evolved. You are now gone into the chosen one level. So yeah, you can join the $1, which is oh my gosh, Bill and Ted. John Wick is our $3, and $5 is the Matrix Neo. So yeah, let's wrap this thing up. We want to wish you all again Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Please check us out on any of the places that we just mentioned. And I guess until next time, you can check out Sam, Brian, and myself here on the Backlot of South Dakota. Peace.
Bye.